In this video, I'd like to explain why the future of space colonization is robotic. So when you think of space colonization, you probably think of this or this: cities on other worlds or colonies free-floating in space. But the main problem with these large human settlements in space is that there's really no economic incentive to build them. Now, of course, there are plenty of people who want this future to come to pass, myself included, so there's no shortage of willpower. But when it comes to an undertaking as large as colonizing the solar system, willpower is not enough. So let me first explain why an economic incentive is so important to space colonization, and then I'll get into why robotics are the solution. So I think I've found a way to explain this without using any economic jargon whatsoever. You should be able to understand this no matter what your background is. Basically, the exploration and colonization of space requires resources from Earth. Think materials from Earth, factories from Earth, people from Earth that need to be directed towards these efforts in space. More broadly, think of this as Earth giving resources to space. Now, colonizing space requires a lot of resources, so if space wants more resources from Earth, it needs to give Earth something in exchange. In other words, space needs to provide some value towards Earth in order to justify the usage of Earth's resources. Now, there are many known ways that space can provide value to Earth, and a lot of them are already in effect. GPS is a perfect example, along with weather monitoring, Earth observation, and remote communication. There are also several emerging ways that space is providing value to Earth, such as global broadband provided by constellations such as Starlink. In the near future, we can also look forward to orbital manufacturing being a pretty big industry. There are many advanced materials that can only be manufactured in the environment of space. For example, fiber optic cables produced in zero gravity experience 10 times less signal loss than those produced here on Earth. Additionally, space-based manufacturing introduces the possibility of 3D printed organs. We have the technology to 3D print organs, but if you try to do so on the surface of Earth, you're only going to be able to produce 2 to 3 layers of cells before the whole thing crumples under its own weight. However, that is not a problem in the zero-G environment of space, and it opens up the possibility to completely end the shortage of organs for people who need transplants. And things do not stop there, because space-based infrastructure has the possibility to solve all of humanity's energy problems as well. Solar panels are over 6 times more efficient in space, partially because they are able to work 24/7. So a feasible clean energy solution of the future could be massive arrays of solar panels in space that beam the energy down to Earth via microwave. So all of the examples I've given so far have to do with pieces of space infrastructure that are in the immediate vicinity of Earth. But if we want to provide value to Earth from deep space, such as other celestial bodies, then we will have to provide value in the form of raw resources. Now, this isn't much of a problem either. We know that the moon has deposits of precious metals such as gold, platinum, and silicon, and Mars could prove as an excellent staging ground for expeditions into the asteroid belt. The asteroid belt contains an unfathomable amount of precious metals. Bringing these metals to Earth would not only make the asteroid miner incredibly rich, but it would also crash the market on these materials. Metals like gold are crucial in our electronic components, and bringing the price of gold down would mean cheaper and more widespread electronics for everyone. So those are the ways that space has and will provide value to Earth, but they all have one thing in common: absolutely none of them require a human component. Robotics has advanced to the point where, especially in the environment of space, there's nothing a human can do that a robot can't. This is footage from JAXA. Yes, it is sped up, but given the previous footage of the Apollo astronauts, it's unclear whether or not they'd be able to do a better job. And even if they were, consider the massive cost savings that come along with a fully autonomous or semi-autonomous system. Right now, the cost of keeping an astronaut alive on the ISS is $120,000 per day. That means for every astronaut you have in space, you could hire over 400 people with six-figure salaries down on Earth. With 400 people on payroll, you could easily operate an entire fleet of robots which would easily outclass the productivity of a single human astronaut many times over. So this is what the future of space colonization is likely to look like. Human beings aren't particularly useful in space. What humans are good for is our critical thinking skills, which we are perfectly capable of doing, if not much more capable of doing, from the comfort of down here on Earth. So, as we expand into the solar system, I predict that robotic colonies will quickly become the precedent. Let me know what you think about this assessment in the comments below. I'll be back to talking about the stock market in the next video, but I thought this was an important video to make. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.